Okay, I'm going to be reviewing a couple of videos here, but if you'll notice these four clouds all lined up look very similar to what I recorded the other day, and I said Space Force parked in the sky for 2 hours. In that video, in those two videos, you'll notice the sun moves from directly above that truck to over here on the side. So it's been 2 hours and you can still see those cloud craft hanging out. We're also going to do Who's the Devil Worshipper Now? And by the way, this cloud formation is a random thumbnail photo that it chose from the very middle of the video, and it's like a 10-minute video. But that right there, if we're talking about cloud dragons and all the rest, this is absolute 100% proof of intelligently controlled. Whether it's remote control clouds through some sort of microwave frequency, craft inside there, another life form we're unfamiliar with. This one is 100% proof for your mind. And we're going to be going on to some more deeper conceptual understandings. In this one, I titled a series called 10th Level Jedi College. This one's part number 4 of Riders on the Storm, where I'm reviewing the original footage that I took in this one called Riders on the Storm. And we're going to get to that because 10th Level Jedi College, in this graduation, I want to move to the next grade, but I want to get other people caught up real quick. And I'm going to talk in my next video about Matt and this whole understanding and how we're kind of resonating off each other. But first I want to go over this idea that Moses had horns. And maybe we'll talk about whether or not that's a Mandela effect. We're just going to watch the first minute of it.
Moses.
That's Moses.
The one who came down from the mountain after communing with God and delivered us the 10 commandments that the Bible is based upon. And in these, it looks like his horns are made out of light, and that will be referenced in the links in the description. On this one, you can see that he's...
So, the translation for that word that they talk about Moses having horns, they say it means shining. But the other 57 times in the Bible, that same word is translated as horns. So, taking the Bible literally, word for word, is a fool's errand, because they don't even have to rewrite the Bible. All they had to do was reinterpret and retranslate that word into shining instead of horns. When Moses came down from the mountain and everybody ran from him in fear, is it because his forehead was shining or because he had horns? If they're going to translate it as shining in that one instance, they have to reevaluate the other 57 instances that word is used. Or just accept that the Bible is not to be read at face value because kings and pharaohs and emperors have had their hands on it and retranslated and rewritten it to fit their agenda.
And in these, it looks like his horns are made out of light.
We're just going to watch another minute and move on.
And that will be referenced in the links in the description. On this one, you can see that he's the one holding the staff right there, and he's got the horns that are looking like light. Likewise here, light that looks like horns. Either way, he was definitely depicted with horns, and you can get this statue for only $500 right now if you'd like. But Moses had horns. The link in the description, I'll leave a timestamp where...
I'll leave a link in the description for that video, but I got the gravy piling up here, so I need to move through some of it. Now we're going to check out Stellar Corps, Space Force, God's Army, and remember I said this still frame that is the thumbnail photo, it is a 20-minute long video. So that point at which you see all four of them lined up perfectly, I'm singing Do You Believe in Dragons? So when you see them all lined up in a perfect line, that's 10 minutes from now.
Claudia, she would surely say that these are, what does she call them?
Stellar Corps.
stellar cores streaking through the sky. You see the heads on the end
So
here?
you can see them, but 10 minutes from now, they're perfectly aligned up. I'll leave that link in the description. I just want to blast through some of this stuff.
And then you got some smaller lines going the other direction, right?
So here it is at 9 minutes, 16 seconds. And they're starting to line up pretty good. And they've left some pretty big...
Space Force, man.
Space Force, man. They've left some pretty big streaks across the sky.
Stellar cores. Stellar cores.
Just like the ones I filmed yesterday that hung out.
Give me a shout out on Claudia Alvarez's channel. I'm going to send her a link to this.
This is fun.
Stellar cores, man. Way stellar.
And at different times throughout this 20-minute video, at this point you'll notice there appears to be 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. At another point, there's 5 of them. Watch that video and you'll have no questions as to whether or not these people that think they're seeing things in the clouds are actually seeing things in the clouds, or if it's just their imagination. This is absolute 100% proof for anyone who's still a skeptic and can't see it for themselves on a daily basis. Here you can see the top 2 are kind of merged, but they're splitting into 4 from 3, or condensing down to 4 from 5. The bummer is that I recorded it in sepia tone.
Someone's house thinking they're all inconspicuous and no one notices them. You see the legs come out the bottom of the bush. The bush moves over a few feet and they put their little earpiece up and listen in.
Okay, it's a corny joke. I'll just let you watch the link in the description. Here they've broken back up into 4 and you can pretty much see 4 distinct trails behind them. Moving on. So that one we just watched was called Stellar Cores, Space Force, or God's Army, and it's pretty easy to spot because of the thumbnail. This one is called Riders on the Storm, and I did another cover piece on it, but it wasn't as good because I filmed it off the computer screen. So let's check out Riders on the Storm. There's something special in here. I'm going to fast forward it and show you a key point, but just to let you see what we're looking at here, that's kind of the reason I titled it Riders on the Storm. Now what's going to happen is this one up here grows teeth, and then you're going to see a white dot, like Pac-Man eating one of the little dots on the Pac-Man video game. A bright white dot. And this is on a different day. These aren't the same stellar cores. This is on a totally different day. This is at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. You're gonna see a bright white dot appear right there in front of the tip of my pen, and then it'll move backwards through the cloud. He hasn't quite grown the teeth yet. It's already moved back into his teeth. And I even mention it. I say, you see the cube? After it's back to here, and you can no longer see it very well, I say, you see the cube? So I can see that with my bare eyes. I'm gonna rewind it and give you a screenshot. But right about here is where I mention it. You see how it kind of grew teeth? Do you see the dot moving back? Now it's no longer visible, but now is when I mention it.
See the square in the middle?
See the square in the middle? Here it's about 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Here it's moved back to right there. Here you can see it right there. Here, I turned the brightness of the phone up. That seems to help a bit. So now you can see that white dot. I don't want to drill this into the ground, but you can see it starting out here, and then it moves its way back in through here, and by the time it's over here is where I say, can you see the cube? See it moving back through there? Still see it over there? You see it? Oh, now you can't. Now's when I think I'm going to go in and spot it. This is at 2 minutes, 27 seconds. That's about the first part you can see it at. That's actually a pretty good spot right there. By this point, it's moved back into right there. Here, you catch him munching on it there. Where'd we go? There we go. Is there another one in there? Is that something I wiped on my screen? Did I just catch another one? Hold on, I gotta screenshot this. I think there's another one right there. Hold on, hold the phone. Absolutely, it's at 2 minutes, 53 seconds. I haven't seen that one until just now in the recording of this video, where you can see the one still back in here that I've been looking at. And there's one right there. I just discovered this just now as I'm recording. So that means there might be other stuff in here you guys could spot and show me. Because I think that was just because I paused it on the right spot. I'll bet if I push play and pause, that one will disappear. And it's much like those black dot craft that appear and disappear. But these are white dot craft. Wow. Wow. And that's bright. I mean, look how bright that is. Here, let me rub the screen, guys, just so you see that it's not a smudge on the screen. Okay. Wipe, wipe, wipe as hard as I can. It's not coming off. All right, so I think we basically drilled the point in here that there's plenty to be seen, and we can move on to conceptual discussions. One there, one there. Booyah! See if it disappears. Yep, I push play and then pause again, and look, it disappeared. That was at 2 minutes, 53 seconds. I caught a screenshot. See if you can pause it on that spot, because it only shows up for a split second right there. You can still see this one, but the one that was right there is news to me. So we're all learning together here, and that's the point of my next discussion about going to the next grade level. We can learn together, and that's what I intend to do. See it moving back through there? So here we're at 3 minutes, 18 seconds. And looks like I might have just spotted one of the black dot craft. I don't know if that's gonna disappear here in just a second when I push play again. I was hoping to get a better shot of that one up there. So let's see if that little black dot disappears. Yes, it did disappear as soon as I pushed play and then paused again. I just wanted to get you one last shot of this one up here. And now that we spotted the other one, I'm probably going to be going through and freezing frames and gooning out. So this all goes really well with the video I made yesterday about Boogeyman got dragon pilled. And those are pretty much dragons over the house, where I have shown you once again a white dot craft. Apparently there's two of them, one that I just discovered. And so the reason I'm going to go back over some of my old videos to try and get some people caught up real quick so we can take this conversation forward, because we are on the cutting edge here. It would also help even the people that were there and have already seen it, because this stuff came in so fast, it's like trying to take a drink from a fire hose. So we need to choke that fire hose down because there's just way too much gravy pouring out at high volume. So we're going to go back over a couple of videos, but I'm going to stop it now and make another video about my understandings that came to me tonight about the light of Christ, how that's your inner tuning fork. Matt was talking about exercises. Well, COVID is the exercise, the bodybuilding exercise for your inner tuning fork. So was 9/11. But when people didn't go with that inner tuning fork knowing the light of Christ, 9/11 went gong, and their inner tuning fork started to resonate to the lie. Now we have another instance where either you do the bodybuilding exercises of getting your inner tuning fork tuned and hone the light of Christ within you, that inner knowing of right and wrong that we were all born with. I'm going to talk about my experience in amends. In AA, they call it making amends and cleaning out your closet. Same thing as repenting in religious terms. And they say masturbation makes you go blind. Or sin prevents you from being able to use your inner tuning fork and see the truth because of your shame. And that cleaning out that closet 20 years ago, when I was like 20 years old, is wrapping back around to this current life experience. And there is no separation. It was not a scattered sequence of random events. It was all one big long event. And I've talked before about how these newly minted truthers, because there is, everyone knows it, there's a whole batch of newly minted truthers that are just barely getting their legs under them, but we, who having been doing this for a while, can hit the ground running in a way that they can't. So that's kind of why I want to keep moving forward. Matt's strategy is basically to cater to, he called himself a 9th grader. In the K through 12 system, he's a 9th grader. But he doesn't want to move to 10th grade. He wants to keep catering to the newly minted 9th graders. And that's fine. I love listening to his stuff. But on this channel, we're moving forward. I've even said it before, more than once, throughout the time I've been doing this, that future conversations are not going to be tailored to or catering to the newcomer, because there's people that have been with me on this. Like Matt says, some of his audience says, dude, you keep saying the same stuff over and over. You need to progress. And he says he doesn't want to. He's going to cater to the newcomers. And I've said that quite a few times, that I'm no longer going to cater to the newcomers. We need to have a conversation that's tailored to the people that have been here a while, so we can have these conversations using terminologies that we don't have to explain and make sidebar conversations and stuff. So I'm going to just catch up on a lot of this as quickly as I can, because we really are moving forward very quickly. Stuff's happening pretty fast. And so I'd like to be able to have conversations where I incorporate all of these concepts and understandings that have come to us over the last couple of years, because like I said, a lot of it wasn't from me, it was through me. So much so that at sometimes I was speaking of myself in the third person. Quickly, while we're here, notice this little notch here is also here. And the rest of the structure is all perfectly symmetrical. These are the Airborne aircraft carrier floating fortress city in the sky that I'd like to be able to refer to and incorporate into conversations fluidly. And so I got to go over those real quick for the newcomers, because I think they're going to be able to catch up real quick. And I'm also going to talk about another overlap between myself and the Mandela affected. Just like I've said, for the plasma fire, even crazier to me than the plasma fire themselves is that it's been 2.5 years now, 2 years, and I'm pretty much still the only one. Likewise, when I discovered my implant, what was even worse than the discovering of the implant on myself and my sister was the way my family and friends abandoned me. Just like it's harder to wrap my mind around the fact that the people refused to see the plasma fire, it was 100 times harder to accept the way my family and friends reacted towards me when I discovered my implant than it was to accept the fact that I've got a microchip in my head. So this is going to speak largely to that syndrome, if you will. There is a syndrome developing that in looking back on this time from history, we will have identified some of these behavior patterns, like the old man that ran up to me the other day saying, oh no, it's the sun, it's the this, it's the that, when he actually knew damn well what it is, and it was like pulling teeth to get him to confess, and then he's like, okay, well, since you're hip to all this shit anyway, here, let me tell you where to go find some more of those plasma poles. And just before he did that, I wish I would have kept recording, but there was a lady that come out on her front lawn with her son standing next to them, and they didn't say anything. They stared at me and gave me the fucking mad dog. And I just filming the pole. They said, I didn't know that was a problem. They knew exactly what I was filming. They weren't curious, like, well, what do you mean? What about the pole? They were mad dogging me when they knew exactly what I was filming. I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell. But this is the syndrome that people are going through, and there's 3 different instances I can think of now, and we can really flesh out some of these behavior patterns and recognize it from now on. And just so you don't forget, these crafts are parked 2x2x2, and we're going to go over some more of that. I got other images of this. Like I said, I've probably got 100 of these triangle craft. 1, 2, 3. These kind of sort of might be. But you can see this docking port, right? And that one right next to it. And in order to break through some of these mental barriers that tell you, no, that couldn't be, and you try and rationalize it away, once you've seen enough of this stuff, plasma fire, sun tunnel, microchip, then you can move on to the portal in the cathedral that was being guarded by the serpent that sits on top of it, and recognize whatever I was doing here was something like seeing through the veil, using the camera and the color contrast adjustments. And these kind of images, normally when you zoom in on something, it pixels out. The way I got these was continually zooming in, running contrast adjustments, taking a screenshot, and then zooming into that screenshot and running more contrast adjustments, so much so you can count the fins on the back of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go to the next level. I would just want to get some people caught up so they can understand the terminologies we're using and what I'm referring to when I talk about some of this stuff. May the Space Force be with you. To infinity and beyond.